What are you actually doing? That's the question that often we ask our clients. Now, we know that it's tough out there. We know that the market's still pretty tight and that we'd like to be doing more and making more. But if we don't go out there and do something, then there's a risk that nothing happens for us and then we just end up in that victim mindset living below the line, Phil.
Gee, that's a smart intro, mate. And I'm pleased you said victim because I wrote down the same thing. And I think it's about going out there and doing something to grab attention, much like you've done today with wearing that genuine Burberry top.
Very, very genuine.
That is absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, very expensive as well, Burberry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. And the guns too, just FYI if you're tuning in on YouTube there. Hey, we did a podcast about this. And we always talk about, we got two strategic minds. We both know that we're very strategic. We've done a lot of profiling, etc. It's one of the skills that we lean on. And one of the things that we suggested for people to do, even when it is tough out there, is to do something because then at least you can hang your head at the end of the week while you're doing something. You're trying and you're trying to shake the tree. And we had a really interesting conversation with a business owner recently where they said that they are doing exactly that. And holy shit, it has made a big difference because they know that even as tough as it has been, that they can say, right, at least I was doing flyers. They're doing a number of other things which we'll get into. But interestingly, then they've had some wins off of the back of that. But at the time of doing the doing, nothing was happening. But at least they were telling their brain, I'm trying. I'm moving in the right direction. I'm not sitting here going, well, it can't be done. And I thought we could unpack, the lesson that lives in there for all of us.
I think that's a smart idea, and then we'll be able to compare some examples potentially of what we're seeing out there. And if you're not being a victim, you're being a victor. And I think to be that person takes, in New Zealand, I think, a degree of courage because so many people are worried about tall poppy syndrome and you've got to stand out from the crowd. And in order to get attention, you've got to pop your head out. And the classic one that you've said in that intro was around going and doing flyers. And a lot of people that are in business, SME businesses in particular, will be like, oh, no, that's tacky. Oh, no, I'm not going to, that's beneath me to go and get some flyers printed and actually go and walk the streets to get flyers printed. And I've seen a number of posts on Facebook groups where it's been a SME business owner going, hey, look, I've got these flyers printed. I'm going to hand them out on these streets. Are there any kids in the area that are able to come and help me? And that's actually quite smart, roping the local kids to go, hey, look, we'll pay you minimum wage or a little bit of cash. Sorry, IRD.
Child labour.
And go out there and just pound the pavement and create the awareness via a flyer. And as old school as they are, I think they still work because I know from personal experience, our letterbox gets filled with them because we do have a letterbox. Obviously, I don't know how many you get in that penthouse apartment. I imagine your concierge screens your mail.
Texts me when I've got a package of note that I should come and grab.
Well, don't they bring it up?
Oh, the rest goes in the bin.
Yeah.
I'll get it on the way down to my morning coffee and foot rub.
Yeah, right. The coconut latte.
Yeah, and coconut foot rub too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you ever been rubbed down with coconut oil?
Not with coconut oil.
Oh, what with?
No, a bit of mango.
Mango oil?
Yeah.
Or just mango? Someone rubbed
just mango. Yeah, I'm a bit of a fan of the mango. Get the juice all over.
Is that because of it's orange? If anybody's had mango rubbed over themselves, Phil would love to hear from you and trade mango stories.
We've digressed very quickly on a massive tangent. But where were we? Flyers, they do work because I was going through mine not that long ago. In the bin. Oh, here's one. And it was to do with landscaping, property type stuff because we're obviously busy doing bits and pieces outside and there's always something that needs doing and I can't always do it myself. And it's just like, oh, shit, there's this local business. Tuck that one up my sleeve. It might be something that we refer to, if not now, later on. So I think they do work.
I like that. And I can still picture when I go down to Dad's place, every time I go down there, I often see this flyer when I was living there. It's a one-pager. It's an A4 white piece of paper, but they draw like these shrubs and stuff on it and trees, and that's the specials for the week or the month or whatever, and they just seem to photocopy it, and then bang, that's their flyer. But great creative, because I can remember it. But you talk there to you're looking at landscaping. You can't remember what the other pamphlets are, but it shows that it speaks to you because you're in that
frame of mind.
Yeah. Yep. And I think what people do is they go, I did flyers, I handed out 20. Seriously? 20. God's sake.
You've got to put a couple more zeros on the back of that.
I did Facebook marketing. We spent $20 on ads and it didn't work. Yeah. Oh my God. Like, it costs more to fill up your bloody car with petrol, you know, and people will spend on marketing. I don't know. Could be a waste of money. But let's set the scene, mate, before going into flyers and some of the other things. It's the 23rd of May. We've just had the budget. If we ignore the budget, because it's probably created a bit of like, oh, this could get the economy going. But if we ignore that, we've been having conversations internally where, I guess at the start of the year we were saying the back half of the year will probably be when there's more money in the pocket and there's a bit more disposable and the economy will start to turn. I think people are getting to May and they're like, it is still tough. This sucks. And we're hearing from clients like, we might have to lay someone off. There's like another wave of this kind of shit. Can we sustain this? There's a frustration in construction. Like, when are these projects going to start? And maybe the budget kicks some of them into gear. Maybe not though. But also a bit of I finished my project that I was working on, our business has, and there's no work out there. I've heard a young fella saying to me, I'm very good at what I do, very good in the construction space. I wasn't enjoying it. I thought I'd try something else. I've jumped into that. 6 months into it, I'm not enjoying it. Gone back to their old employer, gone back to the old network. Sorry, mate, can't take you.
Jobs.
Basically, when he left, they were like, well, hey, mate, if you don't like it, you can always come back. Not the case. He's blown away at how hard he's having to push, and it's like, there's just nothing there. And then you've got conversations around liquidations. You've got IRD liquidating people. You've got the IRD saying, hey, pay back your small cash flow loan. And there's stories about people getting back to the yard on a Friday and then, hey, hand the keys over. There's no more work and I can't afford to pay the wages. I'm really sorry.
Feels like there's a double dip to this employment cycle. Like, we came off of this hope, I guess, post the change in government, a year and a half ago, and then the reality kicked in of like, that's not our silver bullet, and then there was just phone call after phone call after phone call of just like, we've got to let people go, and that seemed to have quietened down, and we've come into this new year refreshed and energized, and people have kicked off, and now all of a sudden, March has come and gone, April was like dead.
Yes.
Doesn't help that half the month people were doing nothing because they took advantage of the
Anzac
50% of the year that they don't get to work.
These non-Christians took all the bloody Christian holidays. Disgusting.
Controversial.
Yeah, they should have saved those up and gone and seen the Pope change.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But that has an impact on businesses. The amount of business owners that we've spoken to where they've said April was tough. And it's like, well, how does May look like? And it's like, well, better. Well, no shit, because people are actually back working, not taking 50% of the time off in a month. But it's still a slog, and now people are looking at the numbers and going, yeah, not much is actually happening out there. I've got no real confidence that once this project's wrapped up, we've got nothing in our pipeline. So we've got 4 people lined up that we're ready to pull the pin on. Pick up the phone and talk to someone else. Yeah, there's another 2 people that we're going to let go. And it's like, far out. That redundancy spiral, I think, is going to kick off, and there'll probably be another wave of companies looking at their data and going, geez, we can't sustain this because losses have got to be funded by cash, and there's only so much cash, and the government ain't shelling it out because it's not COVID anymore. Old G-Banger Robinson's down in Otago getting his commerce degree, I understand. So we're having to make money the old-fashioned way. And when there's none of that money around or projects coming through to make that money, we've got to make the tough decisions. And the thing that I find fascinating the most is the emotional turmoil that a business owner goes through of the reality of just like, oh, I've hung on to them this long. And I think when they're feeling that stage, it's like, yeah, you should have pulled the trigger probably a month ago. And having to come to the reality. So I think we're going to go through another wave now between now and potentially September of small businesses rationalising, unfortunately, making redundancies and cutting down some headcount.
I think we're often slow to hire and then even slower to fire.
Oh, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and you see this lag, and it's ugly when you leave it too long, and then you go, why don't we do this sooner? But you've got to stay transactional with this stuff and get the business through, not the one person. They'll find something else. There's support systems in New Zealand. Remember, there are countries in the world that when you're unemployed, you do not get anything. You fend for yourself. In New Zealand, there's a support system. It's not your responsibility to take someone from 16 through to their retirement and then pay them an extra wage past 65 too. I know that sounds ruthless, but we need to be realistic. We're in a tough economy. Retail data in April, mate, I was having a read, looks ugly. Still decreasing, not great for e-commerce and whatnot.
No.
I know that we're shining a picture of, some of these stories are outliers, but people need to understand what is actually going on out there. We get to see under the hood of a number of businesses and see these conversations. We still have clients doing really well, which we've spoken about on previous pods as well and what they're doing. We'll get to some of these things. But also, we are now into the second quarter of the year. So we've had January to March. Now, the March quarter 2025 is the first quarter that the total interest paid from banks to the Reserve Bank, and the banks end up with the interest via people paying their mortgages. It's the first quarter that the interest has decreased. So the top of the curve was December, and now we're slowly coming down the other side. As people refinance, and I believe that I did a post about it, I can't remember the exact details, but it's in the school group if you want to go find it. Basically, like 40% of that debt that we have in the country will be refinanced within 6 months before the end of September. So we're going to continue to see total interest paid to the banks decrease, and people are going to have more disposable money. What do they do with that? They're going to spend it. So hang in there is the message. But also, remember, money comes through the system through credit. And if people aren't borrowing and then planting that money into the system, then where else can it come from? It can come from people who have money. You've got to find people. Like, your question should be to yourself, like, who's got the money in your industry? How are you going to get in front of them? How are you going to sell to them?
I think you started the pod with that word victim, and then we touched on a little bit before about victor versus victim. And I reckon a really good way to assess whether the people that are watching or listening, what camp you fit into, is what was your reaction to the budget on the 22nd of May? Oh, is there not enough in there for you? Oh, the government's not doing this. Is the government not doing that? You're a victim. Because you're waiting for a handout. You're waiting for somebody to do something for you rather than having complete control about your own destiny. And if you were in complete control, you're a victor because you're going out there and taking action. You're not going to point the finger and go, oh, I'm waiting for the government to go and do this so that I've got this pipeline of work. It's out there if you're prepared to hustle for it.
I had a very small victim moment, and then I'm like, doesn't serve you, mate, carry on. So, unfortunately, we start earning good money and they bring in a 39% tax rate just as we're getting to that sort of income. And it's like, oh, of course, now, we're finally like getting some momentum and you're going to lose 40% of your income.
Well, it's going to be 45 when the Greens come in because, I understand that their budget was overwhelmingly popular with the New Zealand public with the free dentistry and all of the handouts that they were going to give. So...
yeah, I think they're going to tax all the assets out there in the trust because people are avoiding all their tax by using a trust. Anyway, that's going to be safe for another day. But then yesterday, it's like, okay, also, if you earn over $180,000, you're not entitled to the KiwiSaver government contribution. Now, you're not going to get your $521 of tax back anymore. It's like another thing taken from you. And I'm like, okay, mate, like, go out there and make another $500 and shut up. But to make 500, basically, we need to make 900, pay the tax on that to be left for 500. So we need to go and find another $900 now.
Got to get a second job.
Of profit.
And pack and save isn't hiring.
Yeah, to pay the $400 tax on it to be left with the 500 to then go, righto, we're going to put that into KiwiSaver so that we don't get left behind. But it's very easy to have a victim mindset at a budget time and at any time, to be fair. But there were not a lot of people that were complaining when they were getting free money from the government, 0% interest debt. No. Their house price was going up. They could borrow against it. They could sign on the line for a 3% credit and interest rate and stuff. So we're very quick to forget. Anyway, the economy's tough, but we're tougher, so we keep going. And flyers was a good example. But I've got some others here, but anything before we get into those, mate, that you've seen other clients doing well?
I've touched on a number of pods in recent times, and I always come back to it because I love the reaction that it gets. Emails. And it can't beat the drum often enough. And the amount of times that you hear of clients or business owners go, oh, I've tried this, I've tried that. And you say, well, when was the last time you emailed your database? Crickets.
Yeah.
Absolute crickets. And it's like, you've got this business where you're obviously doing well because, one, you've got through COVID. You find all the cash that was being sprayed around probably helped. But there's been previous demand for your product. There's stories in there. Share that. You've had people interact with you. Just do something with it. And the amount of people that are just sitting on a treasure trove of information that they can then be interacting with their customer base, on a really regular basis, it's a digital flyer.
Yeah.
And if flyers work, why doesn't email work? It does. It's just you are putting your personal lens on it, or you're just too lazy.
Yeah. I think one thing that we often forget is that it's easier to converse with current and past clients than it is with trying to convince new ones to come on board. So what's your database look like of old customers? We were working with an electrician in the solar space recently. I said, what are you doing as you build up this database to go back and offer them maintenance? Because I heard that if you have solar panels, well, if you keep them clean, well, then they're actually even better. They're more efficient. I was in the construction space recently, and this guy said to me, he said, did you know that you're supposed to hose your house down like once a year, just with a garden hose, and you'll protect your paint job by miles.
No way.
But most people won't do it, so then the dirt will erode into the paint. I'm like, mate, I did not know that. And I said, I do not have a hose and I do not have a house. But I'm like, oh, that's great. I'll keep the apartment owner happy, the penthouse owner happy. I'll let them know, get the hose out and wash the outside of this thing. But then I see, I'm like, okay, they are cleaning the windows on the outside of this place. But what can you do for your past customers and your current customers to have a conversation with them? And we've got a client recently who has been stopping in, and they've been checking in with their old customers who have transacted with them over the last few years and just said, how's it all going? What's happening? Are you happy with it? They have a conversation, and then crazy fucking thing happens, mate. They then say, oh, actually, we've been thinking about this.
Yeah.
Do you think you could help with that? Oh, well, most certainly we can. And oh my God, that leads to some revenue, which pays some bills, pays some wages, and they're not as worried as somebody that's sitting there going, nah, there's nothing out there. Nah, we've tried everything.
Yeah.
Really? So there's a gem for people.
I think we talk about databases and stuff like that, and potentially a lot of business owners are just like, what is that? I don't have that. And I think at its most simplistic form, most businesses are now either using MYOB or Xero. So even if we don't have anything structured or formal, we've got data in our sales account. And I would encourage you as a business owner to go into your accounting system, run your sales account. And if you don't know how to do this, ask your accountant for help, and do it for the last 2 years, 3 years, whatever the time period is. Export it to Excel. If you're no good on Excel, watch some YouTube videos, ask ChatGPT, and start and sort and filter that data. You can group it by customer name. You can sort it by date. You can sort it by amount, highest to lowest. And then you can start and get an idea of who the people are, how often they're transacting with you, and all that. Because the best thing to do would be able to get that data, give it to ChatGPT, say, hey, look, I'm really interested to understand some insights that you can provide me about my customers. Who are my top 10 spenders? Who are my most frequent customers? What is my most regular service or product that it is that I'm selling? Ask as many questions, and Chazza will run the numbers and then punch out the outputs for you. If you don't have a structured database or CRM, you can then go, okay, I've got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John who have religiously spent with you, and
Good.
not bad, who have religiously spent with you, and you can go, right, well, I'll go to my phone book and dial them up. Yo, Matt, I appreciate everything you've done. I see that you last transacted us with how about? And it could be the same situation as that one that you shared before, where you're just re-engaging with those people. And I think there's massive insights to be had from the previous customers that you've interacted with.
Definitely. And I think even the whole I don't have a database, stop being a pussy.
Yeah.
I'll give you a database in a second, but how every business that has no customer, how do they get off the ground? How does any venture that starts at zero, how do they make it happen? Now, these are the same people that are like, oh, Zuckerberg's such a dick and he controls the world and shit. It's like, you'll shut up, go on the platform that he built and have a look at the local region that you live in and go oh, wow, there's 20,000 people in this Facebook group here and it looks like I can post into it. Oh, I don't have a database and I don't like Zuckerberg. You're broke, shut up, go and take some action. So we're just carving up the victims right now. But check this out. So this lady messages me. Never thought I'd be babysitting 20 years later. Educated with a full-time job, but goals, and make the most of free evenings over winter. Posted on a couple of Facebook groups and plenty of bookings. Provide value. Perfect. So there's a framework here, right? So they go to their local community Facebook group and they punch a post into there, and now they have work, and now they have money, and now they're not a victim.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
You know? Anyway, they then showed me what they posted. Need a babysitter, question mark. Hello, I'm, insert their name, a working professional in my 30s, available for babysitting on weekend evenings and some nights during the week. Very smart, like I've introduced myself and I'm a working professional, authority, credibility in my 30s. Okay, not some young whippersnapper that might have a party at my house.
Yep.
I've got plenty of experience with little ones and bigger ones and am fun and engaging. I'm not great at sitting still once the kids are asleep, so feel free to leave me a pile of washing to fold, tidying or ironing. I hope people still iron to tackle while you're out. Double value, more problems that I can solve.
Is this person in Auckland?
Christchurch, unfortunately.
Oh,
This is the thing, mate.
I need babies.
Yeah, the regions, mate, they are just like people are out there like proving all these
That is
victims
some
wrong.
sensational hustling.
I'm first aid trained, a clear criminal record, full driver's license, all the good stuff you'd want. Date nights and evenings out are important and shouldn't cost a fortune. I'm happy to work in with your budget. Send through a message and would love to hear from you. Now, here's the genius thing that they also did. Included a photo of themselves with 2 kids.
Wow.
Absolute masterclass.
Smart play.
Yeah, I can solve your problems. I'm trustworthy. And here's an image of me
With a couple of kids
doing the thing that I say I can do for
that
you.
are roped in off the street.
Yeah, could be sisters' kids, anything. Who knows? But like, look at this.
But the credibility that brings.
Smart. Yeah, plenty of bookings.
So
Goals.
any objection that you've got, because as a parent, your little ones, when they are little, are your pride and joy, and you protect them. As they get older, probably not so much because they're rat bags. But for somebody to come along and have an answer to every potential objection as a parent that you might have, front-footing it and doing it in a positive way, that's sensational.
Well, the thing is, she's busy. She's taken action. She's got money coming in. There's people that are like, that doesn't work. Okay, show me your post. You know, do you want to like pay me $50 and I'll review it for you and tell you what you did wrong?
I think it illustrates like that earlier point of people being prepared to do the work that they don't want to do, which they consider to be beneath them, in order to be able to get $1.
Yeah.
And it's kind of likened to like, no, I shouldn't be doing minimum wage activities because I'm above that. I've worked hard to get here. I do this. It's not minimum wage.
Yeah.
Whereas like handing out flyers, oh, no, that's not for me. Going out and babysitting on my spare time, no, I couldn't be doing that.
Well, I haven't had to in the past. Yeah. Well, no shit. We were in a frothy economy. We're in a deep recession now. Like, isn't that the data you need? You haven't had to. Now you do. Client recently, social media. Not too sure on it, but you know what? Let's just stay consistent. Daily posting on their stories, few jobs and whatnot that they're doing. Let's just keep it going. Nothing's happening, but we just keep going. Other people aren't doing it. And then bang, inquiry. Oh, hey, we've got this job. Do you guys think you could come have a look at it? Yeah, great. They do that. It comes off the website. They get there. Oh, how'd you hear about us? Oh, we follow you on social media. Yeah, have for ages. Don't post, don't do the stories, etc. Do you think that that's who they reach out to? Probably not. Probably not front of mind. Probably not thinking about them. Probably not following them. So in these times, I think you've got to be willing to do things that A, you haven't in the past, but B, that others aren't willing to do. I think this is one thing that I've been very lucky to be taught earlier on in my life. If you're willing to do what others aren't, like you'll get rewards that others don't. And we're seeing this so much now where our clients that are still doing pretty well, got a nice profit on the profit and loss and whatnot, they're willing to do things that others aren't. Nothing crazy, nothing like out the gate. They're just like, well,
and you haven't. Look at you now, sitting there with a Burberry shirt on.
100%. I'm willing to wear this when others aren't. People, they just want to do the same, or like they don't want to have to do, like, why should I have to? It's just the wrong mindset to have in a tough economy. And it's just weeding people out left, right and centre.
There's plenty out there to shake the tree, I guess, as I said at the beginning. It's having that courage of conviction in what it is that you do. And I think if you're reluctant to go away and do those things, do you really believe in what it is that you do and yourself? That would be deep.
That's deep. Yeah,
it is deep because if you're not proud of being of your business or proud enough to not go out and pound the pavements or to send an email, you've got to have a really good look in the mirror and go, should I really be doing this? Otherwise, you're just sitting back and going, well, I've had all of these projects and, oh yeah, now I've got nothing. well, where's my next job coming from? I was like, well, what are you doing to go and get it?
Yeah.
And I think so many business owners in that frothy time that we've spoken about have had a degree of complacency. They've got no idea where their work has come from. It's just fallen into their laps. It's like, oh, this project's on and that's happened. It's like, oh, I know someone who can do this, ding, ding, ding. And it's all just, the pieces of the puzzle have just all connected. They've hitched their wagons by coincidence or sheer miracle to the people that are actually doing the stuff. And now that it's all starting to unhitch because the wagon's slowing down, the train's pretty much stopped, people are just like, oh yeah, now I'm not a wagon, I'm at the front, I've got the engine, and I don't know what way to go.
Yeah. Where's this train track going? It looks like it's running out.
Yeah, well, I think the risk is, well, the problem is there is no train track and we've got to start building it and people don't know how.
Yeah, get out of the cart and go and build it ahead so that the cart can keep rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people need to find their individual hunger, like what's possessing our client to do flyers, to design them, to print them, to hand them out. What keeps them posting? That's an individual thing. You've got to work out like what's going to keep you hungry. Is it a new Burberry shirt? Is it keeping your staff happy? Is it getting closer to your goals? And for all of us, like we're all driven with different things. If you can't work that out, well, as soon as it gets hard, all you're going to do is go, oh, poor me, get bigger problems. That's what we talked about earlier in the office. It's like, your goals should be that big. I was even talking to a client, a business owner recently, they're not a client, and they were saying like, I feel really weird about the fact that I'm not going to meetings for $150,000 jobs anymore. It's not worth my time. I have to say no to them to free my time up to keep chasing the 15 one. I want the 15s and the 30s. I'm now dropping off the 1.5 mil conversations. Those projects aren't for us anymore. And I've got to say no. And that's hard to say no to, but I'm trying to be in these rooms and I know we'll get them and I get them and I go, shit, I'm glad I invested that time rather than trying to get 10 of these across the line. I put all that time into the 15 mil project. I know we can deliver it.
Yep.
Bang, let's go. I'm in the position to, we've done all the right work. So, find your hunger and find what's going to make you do these things.
That is spot on, and hunger is such an important word, and I've probably used it on a number of conversations with clients in recent weeks. Definitely earlier this week in a meeting with a client, I was just like, how hungry are you? Yes, all the data is showing that things are tough out there. You can either sit back and be a victim of it and just plod along and keep doing everything that you've done in the past and expect growth. That's probably not working because other people are bucking the trends and growing. How hungry are you to go out there and do things? And it's then looking at your customer database or your sales transactions and go, okay, we've transacted with these clients. Well, what other businesses out there that look like these ones? And if these are big spenders in this industry, and let's say you are selling something to the fast food industry, and you've got Wendy's and you've got KFC and Burger Fuel on your books, but you don't have McDonald's on your books, or Domino's, or Pizza Hut. It's like, well, what can you do to shake the tree to get an intro to those people? Because you've obviously got something that works for some of these players, but not these other ones. They might not know about you. You've just got to be brave enough to pick up the phone and start and get in front of the right person to tell your story.
Yep. The world's not going to come to you.
The other thing that I've suggested to business owners in this space is because you're having to pop your head up and do something potentially different, is it's in an area where I think New Zealanders don't naturally have the skill set. And it ultimately comes back to sales. And you can either self-train by reading, watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, that type of thing. The other thing I would suggest and have suggested to a number of clients is if you have an established business with a sales pitch, go out and test it. Go and talk to sales professionals and say, this is my pitch. Can you critique it? What am I doing wrong? Where can I improve? How can I adjust it? What language can I use? Can I influence my body language? What else can I add to my secret sauce to make what I'm saying more compelling so that the person listening to it could potentially say yes? Said to a client recently, they send out proposals and it's like, get yours peer reviewed. Are they hitting the mark? What are you missing? What are other industry players doing? What's something that you could do differently? Why not, it's all on a PDF. Take a video of yourself, put a video link in there, click play, poof, your lid comes up. It's becoming that much more interactive so that you can create a better relationship earlier on. Just hunting those little things
Yep.
to do something different to get a yes.
I was talking to a client recently along the same lines where they're talking about sales and conversion and whatnot and not really liking the objection. And I think, but one thing that how do I explain this? The reason we don't like objection is because we get stuck and then we're like, what do I say? I'm uncomfortable. I'm flustered. And so I said, mate, you've been doing this long enough now. Let's have a look at your P&L. We counted up all the sales that they've done over the years. I'm like, do not tell me that you can't sell. You sold millions of dollars worth of this shit. So stop saying this to start with. But I said, what's really happening is you just don't like the objection. I said, well, here's one way to break that. Let's write down all the objections that you get because you've done this for years now, so you know what those are. Now, if you have pre-prepared things to talk about when they bring those objections up, how would that make you feel? I'd feel a lot more comfortable. That would be, a lot better. Exactly. So stop trying to wing it. When you're going to face an objection of why or why not someone wants to do something, well, meet that and have something prepared and learn them and then maybe get ChatGPT to test you. And then the conversation of rejection becomes more comfortable. We can't afford this right now. Okay, well, when do you think you'll be in a position to afford it? Rather than like, they can't afford it, bugger, they don't want to go ahead with it.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I need to talk to my partner. I'm just not entirely sure about this. Well, what is it that you're not entirely sure about? What information do you need? Like, actually do some work to figure out what they're trying to say. Because they've already inquired about your service. They're making a decision not to buy, but they allegedly want it. So someone's going to get the work. So find out what it is. In the construction space, the other thing that's becoming more prominent is getting your pricing reviewed or done outsourced, right? So if I were in construction and I thought I was swinging around a massive hammer, when I'm pricing up jobs, because that's one of the number one things they all complain about, I've got so much work to quote, mate, and it's all piling up on my desk. Why don't you pay for it to be outsourced? And even some of the work you are winning, get that peer reviewed of your pricing, like, oh shit, okay, this is how they would have priced this. What are we missing here? Invest some money. It's not wasting money, it's investing money into what are my blind spots? What could we be missing? We meet with accountants. We'll talk about, okay, what are you guys charging for this? What do you include in that? We're like, oh, okay, like where's the ceiling? What types of clients are those? We've all got to explore this stuff, but it comes back to being hungry enough to want to do it.
An example that has just occurred to me that's come to fruition in recent times would be Smith & Co.'s.
Oh no, don't go there. Yeah.
You hear in the media that the state of the Auckland CBD is to blame for the downfall of that shop and then closing down. And apparently it's an iconic spot and and it is. I never went in there. I've lived in Auckland most of my life now. Consider myself an Aucklander, dare I say it. Drive like an Aucklander. Eh?
How the Blues going?
I don't know. I've given up on them.
Drive like an Aucklander. Oh, do you? Are you sure? You drive like an Audi driver, mate. Come on.
At least it's not a BMW driver.
Yeah, or a Tesla. Yeah. Well, sorry.
But
yeah.
That store is iconic, and when you're starting to listen to people talk about that store, it's known for one thing, and that is their Christmas displays at Christmas time. They go in, they've got these beautiful things set up on the windows. You take the kids, and then they've got their Santa's grotto, and you go and you take your kids, and you get a little treat. It's your day out or afternoon out in the Auckland CBD, and then that's off home. And that's it. I can't remember the last time I heard somebody share a story. It's like, I went shopping at Smith & Co.'s and I got this, and it was a positive experience. I've been into Smith & Co.'s on a number of occasions in recent times, probably now because I can probably more closely not quite afford some of the stuff, not all of it. And every time I was never once acknowledged when I went in there. And I've got a lot of people wandering around. Look, I'll label, I will, boomers. They appear to be not friendly ones, unfortunately.
As staff? Oh.
Yeah, and they just didn't seem to have the stuff that we're talking about in terms of hustling for jobs. And this was after they first got announced that the Newmarket store was closing. So I would have thought there would have been some energy in the CBD store around a change of just like, oh, gee, this is not good for the company. We've actually got to do something here to show that this business is viable. We've got to create an experience here so that people go, yeah, we're alive, we're well, come back, spend. No. They're victims of their own inability to evolve because they've just remained, I believed, pointing their attention towards a very, very small sector of the New Zealand consumer market, failed to adopt online. You compare that to somebody like, because you're looking at, retail, it's really hard, Kmart. In the last however many years, Kmart's come to New Zealand, done their little thing. They're now overtaking, they're more recognised now, I believe, in mum circles than the Warehouse.
Yeah.
Building a massive new one out in Westgate, huge, apparently the biggest Kmart in New Zealand, maybe even New Zealand and Australia. They're going well. They've managed to appeal and remain relevant to their audience. And I think that's a bigger example, and I think there's lessons in there for SME business owners that they can take in the retail space between what hasn't worked and what has worked, and then why it hasn't. And yeah, Smith & Co. I believe that they've got a degree of victim blaming there, that it's somebody else's fault, but I think they haven't taken the bull by the horns and adopted early enough to remain relevant in the modern age.
Business is never finished, and we'll go through more booms and more busts and whatnot.
Sure will.
They've obviously been through many, and they haven't even survived this one. So we know that it's tough out there, people. We are cheering for you. We are turning up for you. We are trying to find solutions. We're trying to nudge you in the right direction, but it still takes you to take action. So just do something.